What's up guys, Noor here and welcome to Book of Showtime Chapter 5. As always, if you enjoy these videos, make sure to leave a like and comment and also share it with your friends. And if you have a topic you'd like for me to cover for Book of Showtime, make sure to leave it down below or anywhere you can reach me on social media. I want to quickly apologize for the lack of updates in this series. This is a series that I was really excited to do, but I've kind of stalled on it, but that's mainly because my computer's really old and it's really difficult to kind of keep up with all the stuff that I try to do. It's having its issues, it's on its last legs, but all that's in the past. I reinstalled Windows, so here we are back again. I'm ready to start making more Book of Showtime chapters. I also have a new Twitter account I would like for you guys to follow. At Showtime Snaps is going to basically be a dedicated Twitter account where I just post screenshots with no context from games that I play, and this can be comedic moments or just, iconic moments or just things I felt like sharing with you guys. So I'm a huge Call of Duty fan. It's my favorite series, right up there with Resident Evil. And while I asked a few weeks ago on Discord and Twitter for topics, no one has responded, but either way, I was going to be jumping ahead and getting started on my own talking points as I waited for people to give me ideas. And also, since Modern Warfare 2 is dropping next month, I figured it'd be a good time to do some Call of Duty heavy focused content for Book of Showtime. So expect a COD focused chapter every 3 or 4 videos or so for about the next month. The subject of today's video is, which Call of Duty game is the worst? Originally, I was going to do which game is the best and which game is the worst, but because the best Call of Duty is unanimously Black Ops 2 and it's not even close, worst Call of Duty would make a more compelling video. Now, since 2007, to me, there hasn't been a bad Call of Duty. Each installment has been serviceable for the most part, and most of the negativity comes from the jetpack era and the games just being things people don't want as opposed to fundamentally bad games. Infinite Warfare's trailer was the most disliked video of all time, but it had one of the best campaigns in the series, and the multiplayer and zombies were pretty solid too, but most people were just burnt out on the futuristic takes on Call of Duty. Black Ops 2 was a game with a lot of personality, and Ghost just couldn't match it. But what makes Ghost an underrated game in my opinion is all the day one content it had, which you don't see in a good amount of, well, any game anymore, not just Call of Duty. So what is the worst Call of Duty if not Ghost? My answer might not be fair, but when you have an IP like Call of Duty, the bar is extremely high and there's no real excuse for a bad game. That being said, the worst Call of Duty is Black Ops Cold War. Now, the reason I said that this might not be fair is for a laundry list of reasons. For starters, this installment was dropped during 2020, the pandemic year, and a lot of games saw some issues because of this. But Activision is so set in their ways, and instead of delaying Call of Duty Cold War, they released a shallow product missing a lot of content. Treyarch even wanted to skip a year, but their pleas fell on deaf and greedy ears. If you're not a Call of Duty fan, you might not know this, but the developer studios operate on a 3-year cycle. The rotation goes Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer Games, and Treyarch, and this gives each studio ample time to make the best game they can. But at some point during Cold War's development, there was friction between Sledgehammer and Raven Studios, and that caused Activision to step in and bring in Treyarch to take over the game. Treyarch was dealt a bad hand, and they really did their best not to fold. Now that we know a bit of backstory, let's take a closer look into why this game was bad. The campaign was one of the worst, and usually the campaigns in Call of Duty are always good, but Treyarch seemed to botch a lot of the elements in the story. For starters, while you can create a character, nothing you select for your personality or background really seems to matter in the story outside of a few dialogue changes. And the fact that you're a silent protagonist experiencing the things that you do just makes a lot of the twists in the game come off extremely flat. Black Ops games always have that major narrative change at some point near the climax, but here it just felt so foolishly executed. Not to mention there's a good deal of continuity errors created by Cold War's existence, but that's for another time. And when I played, on PS4 mind you, I did experience a lot of technical issues. It was just a mess from top to bottom. The multiplayer was a poor offering with very few weapons and a slim roster of forgettable maps to go along with balancing issues and bugs galore. The score streak system was extremely botched, and while Treyarch wanted to do something different, which I always respect them for doing, the system was flawed, and when Nuketown released a week after launch, the system was exposed for what it was. I played the multiplayer for maybe a week on and off before I just ignored it the rest of the game's lifecycle. It was a major disappointment following how fun Modern Warfare 2019 was. Bugs can be fixed, yeah, but Zombies fans had to wait quite some time for a second map. Whereas Black Ops 4 launched with 3 Zombies maps, 4 if you had the Season Pass, only one offering here that was basically a beefed up remake of the original Knockdown Totem was very disappointing. Not to mention the Zombies team was smaller this time around, and it showed. All of the maps were basically repurposed campaign levels and multiplayer maps. This would have been fine in World at War back in 08 and Black Ops 1 a couple years later, but it's not acceptable in 2020 where the expectations for zombies are always high. Outbreak mode was the greatest thing to happen to zombies in years, but that only served to expose the shortcomings of the traditional zombie maps even more, as they just didn't offer the same amounts of fun or engagement. Cold War was dealt a bad hand on multiple fronts, from the developer changing to having to follow up the fantastic Modern Warfare 2019, to having to crunch during a pandemic. But for an IP like Call of Duty, releasing a game like this is just plain impermissible. Thankfully, Call of Duty is taking 2023 off, and ideally, this is the last time we ever get a poor offering like Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Alright guys, you let me know in the comment section down below which Call of Duty do you think is the best, which one do you think is the worst, and what did you think about Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War? As always, if you have a topic you want me to cover, leave it in the comment section down below or anywhere you can reach me on social media. Inshallah, I will see you in the next chapter.